Talking Illinois high school football.
If your goals are as high as you talk about, tonight's the night you go out and just take one more step.
It's a view from the West.
And it starts right now!
Welcome to View from the West podcast, the podcast covering Illinois high school football on the western side of the state of Illinois. I'm your host, Greg Armstrong, joined once again, as always, by Mitch Stormer, the man in the command center. You're back again. It was a great Saturday, but I know it's busy. You know, it's busy for both of us in much different ways. I'm driving to games, shooting them. You are keeping up with 10 games at one time, so welcome back in.
Yeah, I'm trying to always remember our NFHS password and then fighting the ads that play every time you switch games. So yeah, it's a lot of hard work on my end, Greg. It really is.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you're able to figure out. I got the message when I was in Macomb, and I had to look through my phone as I'm shooting highlights to try to find the password, but we got there. We figured it out. So, yeah. Of course, thank you to everyone who listens along. We're having a ton of fun this playoff season. If you didn't already, go out and check out the Instant Reacts podcast from this week. We interviewed head coach Matt Furlong of the Geneseo Maple Leafs. They are back in the quarterfinals as a program for the first time since 2015. Got a lot to talk about with them. We'll get into it in a few minutes here. And then we had a little fun. We had Toby Vallis from Farmington on at the same time alongside of Jeremy Adolphson from Monmouth Roseville. Those guys go way back. They know each other well. So we thought, hey, why not bring them in together? Mitch, I believe that was actually your idea. And it was a good one. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, they've got plenty of stories that could fill up a week's worth of shows. So it's fun to celebrate that game for them together, I'm sure, or both of their games, and to be in the quarterfinals together.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So if you're following along our YouTube channel, we did it. Congratulations to everyone who helped us out. We did it, Mitch. We got to 750 subscribers, but the job isn't done yet. I think we're pushing for 1,000. Maybe not by the end of this season. That'd be nice. That'd be fun. I'm not saying it's out of the possibility, but we're getting to 1,000. That's the next goal.
Yeah, it's certainly the next milestone. I don't think we'll get there this year. What are we at? It's like 768 was last I checked.
Yep.
It is at 780 now. So yeah,
hey,
blew past 750. I did not think we could do it personally. So yeah, thank you to everyone who has done that. And again, thank you for watching. Thank you for enjoying it. And yeah, let's get to 1,000 next.
There we go. 1,000 is up. That's the next milestone. We're going to get there too. It's going to be great. So, Mitch, we're a high school football podcast, but we got some other fall sports we got to give shout outs to here. We got to start with high school volleyball in our area. In Class 2A, you got the Riverdale Rams going to the state tournament or the state finals, and you also have Stockton Blackhawks going to the state finals in Class 1A. So congratulations to both schools. It's amazing to make that trip to state. But how about this Riverdale Rams story in Class 2A?
Yeah. Pretty wild. I can't say I know all the details, and I'm not sure that all the details need to be shared on that. But what's important is that Rams head football coach Guy Derricks was on the sidelines tonight as we're recording this for that Rams game and leading them to that victory. So what a whirlwind couple of weeks this has been for Coach Derricks. But he's a winner. Doesn't matter what sport it is. Maybe he'll coach basketball. Who knows?
Yeah. So yeah, in the sectional championship, the Rams had their head coach and their assistant coach both ejected. I guess you get red cards in volleyball. I thought that was only a soccer thing, but
I guess
they were both given red cards. They were ejected for kind of a wild situation, a lot of misunderstanding from what it sounds like. And they ended up both getting tossed. So that served as motivation for the girls on the Riverdale squad. They battle through it. They win the sectional. So when they get to the super sectional, they're without their two main coaches. So they have the freshman volleyball coach step in to take over the head coaching responsibilities. And from what we heard, athletic director and football coach Guy Derricks also stepped in. I saw he was sending out some updates on X throughout the night. So like you said, a wild story, but a jack of all trades there in Guy Derricks. stepping in, helping out where needed, other jobs as assigned, when you're an athletic director. So congratulations to them. It's a fantastic story. Good luck to them in the 2A field. Good luck to the Stockton Blackhawks in the 1A field. But we have other sports to talk about, not the football we're used to talking about, but how about football in the soccer sense of things? Mendota makes a run to the state title game. They finish up as runners-up in the state, and you had the Rock Island Rocks making it to the state tournament. They finish in 4th place overall, so congratulations to those two squads for making a big push in the soccer field on the soccer pitch. Mitch, you're a volleyball and a soccer parent, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, all right. I've been a soccer parent, hit or miss over the years, and I just was a volleyball for the first time this fall. So I've been kind of indoctrinated into all of it now. So
yeah, my oldest is now done playing volleyball, so she's in 8th grade and she won't play in high school. And then my younger ones are more on the soccer side. So, but yeah we're definitely versed in both.
All right. Well, there you go. All right. Well, speaking of Rock Island High School, we also have some Rock Island news on the football field. We found out today, it was announced that the head coach of the Rock Island Rocks, Fritz Deodone, has resigned his position after 3 seasons. He finishes with a record of 6-21 overall. So, Mitch, in 3 seasons, off and on there, we had some expectations for this Rock Island squad. And I really thought that a year ago, with the talent they had, I really thought that they could get something, put together, play some winning football. They played a really tough non-conference schedule, not to get too far into the details on it, but overall, it just never really worked out for Coach Fritz and the Rocks there. So, tough to see. You hate to see a coach that, comes in and, does his best and it just doesn't work out.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big opening. It's a big job. It's certainly the record hasn't been there in the past couple of years for Rock Island, but it's a team that we've seen since we started this show that have had great seasons, have competed for Western Big Six championships, and have gone on to the playoffs. So I don't think, there's work to be done, but given the size of the Rock Island community and the breadth of talent that's there, you bring in the right coach and get the ship turned around. I don't think it'll be long before we're talking about Rock Island having winning seasons and competing once again to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, like you mentioned, the program, over the years has been there. They were one of the best, if not the best team in the Western Big Six overall as a whole for many years in there. So, I'm excited to see who they can bring in and what they can do with the program. Speaking of Coach Fritz, though, I just want to, say best of luck to him in whatever's next. I see him quite a bit every so often working at St. Ambrose University. He also works at St. Ambrose. Really great guy overall. I always really enjoy running into him. I really enjoy talking to him. I think he does a great job in his full-time gig at St. Ambrose. So I just wish him luck in whatever he does down the way. I know, he's a smart football mind and again, a great guy. I just, I hate to see that things didn't work out here.
And kind of just switching gears a little bit, but staying on the coaching topics, Rushville Industry also open. Brian Lafferty stepped down after a long tenure with the Rockets. Has always been fun to cover Rushville Industry. That job is now open as well. So not suggesting that we're going to be seeing more openings, but it's just that time of the year, right? That coaches could be moving on, whatever the reasons may be. But so far, season's not even over yet, and we've got 2 openings that will need to be filled and 2 new coaches that'll be coming into the fold. Well,
and a third opening when you're talking about LVC, the co-op out of Lewistown, also has an opening as well. So those are 3 that we've heard of so far. Like you said, it's kind of that time of year. I'm sure we'll hear a few more along the way. But, good luck to all those coaches. I appreciate the help they gave us along the way to kind of give us information, give us, talking points for the podcast. And, we wish them all the best of luck. Talking about Coach Lafferty from Rushville Industry, really kind of turned that program around and, fell short, I think, of probably what their expectation was this year, losing in the first round of the playoffs. But, man, he was a high-energy coach. I know we showed the clip of him celebrating with his team after that win over Princeville in overtime in the middle of this season. Really high, just really seemed like a highly motivated, impactful coach. And I know Chris Dewar down in Quincy really enjoyed talking to him and, covering him. So, good luck to Coach Lafferty. Good luck to Rushville Industry and their head coaching search as well. So, all right, let's get into our viewpoints. Of course, the viewpoints brought to you by First Wealth Financial Group. Head to firstwealthfinancialgroup.com to get in touch with their team. I'm going to start with a viewpoint I saw after Saturday or probably Sunday afternoon from head coach at Camp Point Central, Brad Dixon. The Camp Point Central got upset, I suppose you'd call it, by a conference rival in Brown County. Brown County got the win. They're advancing. So Camp Point Central, a favorite of a lot of people to come out of the Southern bracket in Class 1A, goes down. They will not be, moving on in the playoffs. He had a great post to his program, to the community, mainly to his seniors. And the title of it was, "The Scoreboard Should Take Care of Itself." And I know we've heard that phrase a lot, but I encourage anyone who hears this, who hasn't seen it yet, go out on X, search Brad Dixon, Camp Point Central. We shared it on our feed as well. Just a really impactful message about, the detail that goes into every week and every season is, yes, you're focused on winning, but that's not, always the end goal. It's developing every week. It's playing your best as a team, playing your best as an individual, and then kind of the memories and the things you take away along the way. And a lot of it sounds cliche, but man, it is really, I've seen it firsthand with my son playing high school football this year. It really is, program wide. If you get the right coaches in place and you get the right kind of culture, that really is more of what it is. It's the whole journey more than kind of the outcomes at the end of the day.
Yeah, that was kind of where I was going to go with it, is that it's just the next step, right? That's kind of the summation of his statement, is like, this is just how it was meant to go this year, right?
Yep.
It doesn't always have to end in Bloomington. It doesn't always have to end with a trophy. Sometimes the lesson comes in a loss, and I don't want to try and summarize everything that he said, because he said it way better than I ever will. But I think what I read, it just took from it, like, there's life lessons in loss.
Yep.
On the football field, off the football field, certainly. But that, the heads are going to be held high there. That program's going to be back. They lost to a good team. I mean, so what can you say? But yeah, I like that came out. I like that it came out as quick as it did. So yeah, that's a fantastic culture there at Camp Point Central with Coach Dixon at the helm. And yeah, I encourage, like you said, everyone to go read that statement just to see what they're all about there, because it's a great thing.
Yeah. Mitch, I don't know if you remember, I know you you ran a little track at St. Ambrose, but I don't know if you remember or aware of head coach Paul Olson, who was at Augustana track and field for years and years.
Yeah.
And when I was working at Augustana, and I really enjoyed covering him, he was a fantastic professor at Augustana, fantastic coach, but he always said, the goal is the journey. And that always really stuck with me, that in any sport, in anything you do, a lot of times it's about the journey along the way more so than maybe the outcomes at the end of the day. That's what you really take away from it. So I think that kind of resonated the same way, Coach Dixon's message.
You know who his son is?
I do, actually. Yeah, he's a Hollywood celebrity of sorts.
Yeah, Eric Christian Olsen.
There you go.
I don't know that anyone listening to this show watches NCIS Los Angeles, but you'd probably recognize him from other things that he's been in. He's been in some movies. Not another teen movie for the real ones who know. One of the funniest movies that's ever been made. But yeah, a local. Did he grow up in Rock Island? I don't even know.
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know.
Now we're gonna go. He was born in Eugene, Oregon.
Oh, that would make sense, because I think that's where Olsen came from. Yeah.
Spent most of his childhood in Bettendorf.
Yep.
Attended Bettendorf Middle and Bettendorf High School.
Okay, yeah, I thought you were asking if Paul Olsen was from the Quad Cities. I'm not sure initially. No, his son, yes, was raised here. Yeah.
So there you go. There's your Hollywood Minute with View from the West.
That's a deep dive I did not expect to take in this episode, but here we are. So
you started it.
I know. But you took it the next step. You took it the next level, and I appreciate it. That's what you're here. That's what we're here for. So, all right, you got a viewpoint for us, Mitch?
I was just kind of reflecting back. I was thinking about this. kind of as Saturday was unfolding, and maybe it's just because we had, we talked about in the instant reacts, I think a record number of teams still alive at this point in the season, but just kind of as the games unfolded, and maybe it was how they unfolded, right? Like Monmouth Roseville beating a Bloomington Central Catholic team, Forrest and Lee win in. Just as the day unfolded, Geneseo starting the day off with a win. Just as the day unfolded, it just was a lot of fun. There were great games being played. Our teams were winning and advancing. So, just again, reflective on the second round, and looking forward to what I expect to be a really, really good quarterfinal round across all the classes, and then potentially seeing some really good games in the semifinals.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, mentioning all these games, let's mention who was helping you out with some scores along the way on Saturday.
Yeah, a couple I've probably named them before, but these guys are traveling around, which I think is the most impressive. We talk about, we talk about Zach a lot, Shimdog, who has been traveling and going on these hour-long road trips and such, but he's not alone. I mean, he ran into Larry Cook at El Paso Gridley. They were both there. Larry was at a handful of games this weekend, and the other one was Aaron McCann. So shout out to Larry and Aaron all season long. They send updates and are traveling along, enjoying the game, and sending us what they see. So again, we get a lot of them. We get a lot of them every week. So, but just for today, Larry and Aaron. So thank you to you guys, and keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, credit to Larry and to Zach and maybe a few others that are so good at tweeting updates that they get their account blocked on a regular basis. That's incredible.
I don't get how that's never happened to us, I don't think. So
yeah.
And we've live tweeted games before, and
yeah,
I don't know if it's I don't know, because Zach will get it with either if it's videos or if it's just like his spreadsheets or something.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't understand it. So
I mean, we just get in trouble with the Andy Williams estate. That's our only, slap on the wrist. So
no longer,
no
longer, as we
figured that one out.
Have found a bypass on that one.
I got to do a quick shout out to I don't know his name. I never caught his name. I stopped and talked to him, but I'm going to call it oversized hat guy. Okay. You know, those big, foam, oversized hats.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Burnt Reynolds SNL hats. Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of. Yeah. But they're actually like a baseball cap, but they're like big foam.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I get what you're
yes.
saying.
I wish I had video of him or a photo. I don't know his name, but I saw him in Farmington last week.
Dan Pearson.
Yeah.
DanPearson.
So I saw this guy in Farmington last week, and he had one of those hats on. Well, then this week, I saw him in Macomb, and he was wearing one that was a Geneseo one. So he had been in Farmington wearing a Farmington one. Then he was in Geneseo wearing a Geneseo one, and he had... yeah.
Oversized hat guy has multiple oversized hats?
That's what I'm saying. Yes. So he was standing on the sideline in Macomb, and at one point, he yells over like, "Hey, Greg, you want to ride with us to Farmington at halftime? We're headed there next." So I should have taken him up on the offer.
Sounds like you missed out.
So he was wearing a Farmington hoodie. So I think he may be from Farmington, but he went down to check out Geneseo Macomb and was rooting on the Maple Leafs as well. But no, he was great. It was a ton of fun to talk to him real quick. And they did. They left at halftime and went out and checked out the Farmington game. So
did I get an oversized hat for state? Just
man, how cool would it be to get
a sore thumb on the sideline?
How cool would it be to get oversized view from the West hats? That would be amazing. Abby at Breedlove's. Here we go.
Yeah.
So
let me tell you what I can't pull off. It's one of those oversized hats.
So, I mean, Abby loves our crazy ideas. So this might be the craziest of all of them.
Yes, it would.
All right, Mitch. Speaking of Abby and Breedloves, tell the people why we love Breedlove Sporting Goods.
Well, they know. Tonight's episode is brought to you by our friends at Breedlove Sporting Goods, Western Illinois' premier sporting goods store for uniforms, apparel, maybe oversized hats, equipment, awards, and online team stores. They provide all the same sporting goods services as the big nationwide companies, but with a faster turnaround. And their uniform pricing is a fraction of the cost you are probably used to. They offer name brands such as Adidas, Under Armour, and Nike, and are extremely responsive with any inquiries. With a primary focus on the western side of the state of Illinois, Breedlove Sporting Goods is the fastest way to outfit your team. Check them out on Facebook or at breedlovesports.com.
Of course, we got to thank Simulation Sports. They bring you the Three Rivers Athletic Conference coverage every week. Simulation Sports in Monmouth, Illinois. Visit thesimulationsports.com to book your golf or batting cage time today. Scott from Simulation Sports has got to be loving this playoff run for Monmouth Roseville. I'm sure he is pumped for the Titans there. And also our big Northern Conference coverage brought to you by Byron Wealth Management. Stop by and talk to Sean about financials or football. I know that Sean Considine is excited about this Byron playoff run. It's kind of what we expected. We'll get into the matchup they got this week, but this is kind of what we've been waiting for, maybe all season long, and it's here. So if you want to stop by and talk to Sean, I'm sure he would love to talk to you about this game, for sure. No doubt about it. So, of course, thank you to Godfather's Pizza and Silvish for providing pizzas to our offensive line of the week every week. And also, Nate Neighbor at Modern Woodman of America for sponsoring our View from the West game of the week. From protection to savings to retirement, contact Nate Neighbor today to put together your financial game plan. He's always a call away, 309-233-2656. Modern Woodman, touching lives, securing futures. Of course, we thank Dan Pearson of Fellowship of Christian Athletes. He helps us out with video and always is great support of View from the West podcast. So here we go, Mitch. It's quarterfinal time. Time to talk some quarterfinals. We'll look back at the second round and kind of what led into our quarterfinal matchups, and of course, break down the matchup and how we think things will play out. We look back at the second round in Class 7A, and it's the 21 seed Glenbard North getting the win 22-14 over the 5 seed Moline. So a tough one here, not just for the Moline Maroons, but for Grant Dahlstrom at QC Sportsnet. Battled through the elements, a lot of rain there like there was across the state. Battled through some technical difficulties, but was able to do what he could to get the game on the air. But overall, kind of a tough day for Moline here. They battled in this one, and they fall a touchdown short.
Yeah, it was a great battle. And just to kind of further your point there on QC Sports and Grant Dahlstrom, like they were very apologetic after the fact, and I think they didn't need to be, right. They were in a tough spot of, one, being outdoors, and two, it being just terrible weather.
Yeah.
And it's certainly of no fault of theirs were the technical difficulties and their efforts to try and get that back on and provide the coverage that they're so used to doing and doing so well just didn't work out. And it's not unusual that happens. So again, no need to apologize on that, guys. But back to the game. Yeah, Glenbard North built a 19-0 lead. Kind of looked like it was going to get, run away with it a little bit. But Moline fights, right? That's what they've done all year. They fight. It was, I think, 19-7. Then it was 22-7. And then Eli Warren scored that late touchdown and then just didn't get the onside kick, right? So tough game, tough loss. A good Glenbard North team. They're the 21 seeds, so now they've had 2 upsets in the first 2 rounds. So that's a really good program. But a fantastic year for Moline, Western Big Six champions. They played so very well. Mark Carey had a tremendous year. Eli Warren, obviously fantastic. Cason Ponder in his sophomore season, very, very high bar to set. But, the Moline standard is there. This team met it. And I expect this program to come back. Coach Morrissey, his staff, all the returning players on this group come back ready to fight. Probably already they're getting into that mode. So congratulations to them on a good year.
Yep, I absolutely believe that Moline will stay, at the top or near the top of this conference for years to come. I think with what they have set up there with the program that Mike Morrissey has led there. I know they're disappointed because I know they wanted that quarterfinal berth. They have never done that in the modern playoff era. They've never made it to the quarterfinals. They've been so close, And, this one was, it's heartbreaking, I'm sure, for those guys. But, best of luck to them next year. We'll certainly be, talking about them early in the season because I think they'll be another conference favorite as well. So, all right. So shout out to Moline for a great season. Let's get into Class 4A. We'll skip down a few here. Coal City, 49-42 over Dixon. It was a rematch of last year's 4A quarterfinal. And man, this game did not disappoint. It was fireworks, throughout the game in this one.
Yeah, it really was. I was able to watch this one on Friday. Was really looking forward to seeing two of the best backs that we've seen come through. Certainly one that we cover and one that we've heard about. That being certainly Landon Carnegie on Dixon and Logan Natty-Shock for Coal City, and it lived up to the billing. It was back and forth early. Coal City seemed to have an advantage for most of this game, but Dixon was able to fight back from being down 2 scores. 800 yards of total offense in this one, but really it would just, again, it lived up to the billing of a heavyweight fight. Jagger Kemp, Landon Carnegie, Connor Henline, and Logan Natty-Shock just going at it, possession after possession. All told, Kemp had 3 rushing touchdowns and a passing touchdown. Carnegie was over 200 yards once again and 2 rushing touchdowns. Connor Henline, the quarterback for Coal City, had 307 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. And Natty-Shock, I never saw the official number, but I'm pretty sure he was over or right at 300 all-purpose yards. Had a huge kind of back-breaking 78-yard reception. I think that was Coal City's final touchdown. So, again, a rematch of the quarters from last year. It lived up to the hype. In this game, Landon Carnegie set the Dixon High School all-time single-season rushing record. Finally, it's amazing that it wasn't already set.
Yeah,
it was 21-15 or something prior, and that record now stands at 2,283 rushing yards. So, a fantastic season for Dixon. We talked about how good Carnegie has been all year. I fully expect that, not to spoil anything, will probably be our Big Northern Player of the Year. This Dixon defense was fantastic, and they just ran into a really good Coal City team, and I think they can hang their heads high. It sounded like it was an absolutely terrific environment. It sounds like there was a donor there that 200 students got in for free. So the community was all into this one, and they just came up short.
Yep. Well, like Moline, another program in Dixon that I don't think is going anywhere. I think that what they have set up, they've got a culture of winning football out there in Dixon now. So I'm intrigued to see, how they keep moving forward. But unbelievable, amazing season, for Carnegie, like you mentioned, and certainly in the mix for any awards, postseason awards that come his way. So, all right, well, let's pull up the bracket here and look through, because we had Geneseo getting the win 29-0 over Macomb. So they advance into the quarterfinals for the first time since 2015. So we'll bring up the bracket here. And you can see that Coal City will be taking on Lombard Montini. That game will be in Lombard, 1 p.m. on Saturday. On the opposite side of the bracket, you have, I guess in the next bracket down, you have Morris going on the road to play Geneseo. Before we get there, let's talk through this Geneseo-Macomb win. Leafs are now 7-0 all-time against Macomb, but it's their first time they had played each other since 1979. So interesting that they've played each other over the years, but it's been a long time since they played. The Leafs really dominated the time of possession in this one. It was a lot of 3 yards in a cloud of dust, except they're on turf, so no real dust, but you get the point.
And it was raining. There's no dust when it rains, but
that's true. But that was kind of the mode. That was kind of the, the way they went about things in this game. It was just, they were getting small chunk plays, not a whole lot of big bust out runs, but they did what they had to do. They got the job done.
It was just efficient.
Yeah.
And you saw it firsthand, just how well Jackson McAvoy ran this offense.
Yep.
4 touchdowns on the day, 3 of them came on the ground. The one one big play was a passing touchdown on their second possession that you had a terrific shot of.
Yeah.
From McAvoy to Wine-Zero there down the sideline. And we asked Coach Furlong about that on the Instant Reacts, just something that they thought they had seen on tape that they might be able to exploit. And that came at a time in the game where they had all the momentum, and it was just a quick strike, and they went up 14-0 after that. So, yeah, this was, there's fun history here, like you said. Geneseo has not lost in this series. They're 7-0 all time. This is the 5th shutout by the Leafs in this series, so Geneseo really has kind of dominated this one. But you got a great note in here that history kind of repeats itself here, as that matchup in 1979, Geneseo defeated Macomb in the postseason to set up a game against Morris. Fast forward 46 years.
Yep.
And here we are again.
Yeah, it is kind of weird the way that worked out, that they defeated Macomb in 79 and then took on Morris, and now they defeated Macomb and they take on Morris. So, let's get into it as we're seeing the highlights from the win down in Macomb. It helps when Jackson McAvoy throws the ball basically directly at me, and Kai Wine-Zero leaps and makes the grab right in front of me. That makes the shot pretty easy to get. That helps. So,
yeah, no, fantastic highlight there from you.
yeah. So, well, thank you, sir. It worked out very well. So, all right, well, let's talk about it. The 4A quarterfinal matchup, the number 2 seed Morris at the number 6 seed Geneseo, Saturday, 2 p.m. And this is a battle of blue bloods, some all-time programs in the state of Illinois. Mitch, you looked up kind of some of the numbers here, but give us kind of the backdrop of Morris and Geneseo.
All right, yeah, let's. Morris is a team that we haven't met just yet this year, so I'll give them the full rundown here. They come in at 10-1, formerly known as the Redskins. They do not have a mascot at the moment. They dropped the nickname back in 2022. Not sure if they're getting one or if they're voting on one, but they technically don't have one at the moment. They could come out of the Interstate 8 Conference, coached by Alan Thorson. He's in his 16th season there. This is a pretty historic program. 39th playoff appearance. They are 3-time state champions, last in 2005, 8-time runner-up. They were runner-up back in 2017. We'll be talking about Wilmington here down the road. One of their losses did come to this Morris team back in week 1. It was a 27-20 win for Morris. And then their playoff game so far, a 54-7 win over Woodstock and a shootout 64-50 over Mendota.
Metamora.
Oh, what did I say?
Mendota. No.
Not Mendota. Metamora. No. My apologies. They've got a pretty stud running back, Caden Corin. He had 33 carries, 232 yards, and 4 touchdowns in that game against Metamora. On the season, 1,500 yards, 22 touchdowns. Quarterback Brady Varner was 8 of 11 for 146 yards and 2 touchdowns against Metamora. They both had 2 touchdowns in their round 1 games as well. I believe Varner has either a twin brother or a brother who plays receiver on this squad as well. Logan Sparrow is a wide receiver. And I will absolutely butcher this young man's name. Brogan Jelsvik?
Yeah.
Looks Swedish or Norwegish.
Yeah.
On the offensive line. I think there's 2 of those too. So a lot of family members on this Morris squad. But yeah, Interstate 8 Conference champions. Certainly they played 7 playoff teams in the regular season. Their only loss was to out-of-state Byron Center, which we've played them, right? A team in our area has played Byron Center before, haven't they? That sounds familiar.
Could be. I'm not sure.
I don't think it was this year. It wasn't this year, but that just sounds familiar. Either way, it doesn't matter. Pretty big point differential, 41 points per game, only allowing about 18. But there is history, like you mentioned, between Morris and Geneseo. Historically, both in the top 15 all time in IHSA wins. Both of these teams were named in the top 50 IHSA programs of all time, which, if anyone from the IHSA is listening, I don't believe the link to that exists anymore since the website changed, so I might have to look into that. But Geneseo came in at number 10. Morris came in at number 18. Morris leads the all-time series between these two, 6-3. Geneseo did win, though, the last meeting between the two, 21-17 in 2017. That was week 9. Yeah. Geneseo was sitting at 4-4. At the time, they had a streak of finishing above 500 for over 50 years. So trying to keep that streak alive. Morris came in state ranked at 7-1, but it was Geneseo that got that close win. So this year, one common opponent, Rochelle. Geneseo played them twice, lost one, and then won in round one. Morris defeated Rochelle 37-14 back in week 6. So talk about two pillar programs meeting each other in the playoffs. We like that. We like that a lot. And there's more history behind that too in this matchup.
Can we backtrack? Did you describe his last name as Norwedish?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Would that be Swedish and Norwegian?
Yeah, they're in the same region, right?
Yeah, sure.
When you think about the world, they're in the same world.
Sure. They'd be put in the same region in the flex scheduling according to Roxana. So yeah.
They're probably good at hockey. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right.
They're not listening. They're not listening.
So the last time these two teams played, incredible game, came down to the wire. Geneseo pulls off a huge play, a huge passing play at the end of the game to defeat Morris. At the time, it was unbelievable just because that winning streak that had been there, that streak of finishing above 500, really looked in jeopardy, right? I remember leading into that week thinking, like, this is probably where it ends. Like, this Morris team is so good. And man, that Geneseo magic that we've talked about going back to that Rochelle finish, it happened that night for sure with them getting that win. So that game always stands out to me when you're talking, Geneseo and Morris. So, all right. So yeah, with thoughts on this matchup, Mitch? I mean, we know a little bit about Morris. We don't know a whole lot. I haven't watched a game film on them or anything, but they're a good team. They're a quality program, obviously, every year. So,
yeah, that Interstate 8 conference, maybe not as strong as it has in years past. Sycamore was 5-5. We've seen better records out of them. Certainly, Rochelle was a playoff team. Canelan was a playoff team. LaSalle, Peru, and Ottawa didn't have the seasons that I think they typically have or that they expected. But hey, they were undefeated in conference play for a good reason. Highest offensive output, lowest, second lowest points allowed to Rochelle. But we talked about, they beat Wilmington in round one.
Yep.
But just look at who they've beaten. Mahomet Seymour, Peoria. Peoria's still in the playoffs. Talked about Canelan, talked about Rochelle. And then their playoff wins against Woodstock and Metamora. So yeah, this group is pretty good. They can put up the points. They've been scored on. I will say that they've been scored on. So I think for Geneseo, I don't think they have to do a lot differently than what they did against Macomb. I don't mean to compare Macomb and Morris, because I think Morris is a better program. But what I mean is Geneseo's style of play of 3 yards in a cloud of dust, controlling the time, letting the play clock roll down, just keeping possession, getting chunk plays, and playing a really, really good defense, which we talked about much. Like, Macomb couldn't get anything going against Geneseo's defense, and we've seen that in a variety of games this year from the Maple Leafs. So they can certainly hang with Morris. I don't believe this will be a high scoring game. Certainly don't know what the weather's going to be like, but two running teams, should be hard hitting action. It's going to be just a lively environment there. Not many better places to watch a playoff game on a Saturday at 2:00 in mid-November than Geneseo, Illinois. That community is going to be on fire.
Yep.
That stadium is going to be rocking. So I don't believe you're going to go to this game, Greg, but I'm sure Dan Pearson will be there, and the highlights from this will be outstanding.
Yeah, had I not just seen Geneseo and Macomb, yeah. It's so many. It's so hard. There's so many good games this week. Yeah, that one would be higher on my list had I not just seen Geneseo. But I think for me, looking at it, like you said, I think you're right that Geneseo really has a way of controlling the game if they control possession and they can really dominate, that time of, possession, if they keep the ball in their hands. I think they got to, early in the game, they kind of got in their own way against Macomb and had at least a drive or two stall out because of, penalties. So I think that they have to learn from that, and I think they will. It's good if you can learn a lesson like that in a game that you win pretty handily anyway. I think you got to do the same things you did against Macomb, but you got to do them that much better now against this Morris program because the competition level, I believe, just picked up that much more, So I'm curious to see, what Coach Furlong sees in film on Morris, same way he saw that, maybe that passing play that was available against Macomb. What do you find? What's a wrinkle that you can get out of game film that you can execute if you're Geneseo against this, really good Morris team? I think Coach Furlong is a great game planner, a great, film watcher and figuring out kind of those little minute details. I'd love to see kind of what he can do, what he can draw up.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, this should be a great game. We just had the brackets up, I think.
Yep. Here, I can bring them back up so we can keep talking about what we see next.
Yeah.
There we go.
So the winner of this game goes on to the semifinals, and they would play the winner of Lombard Martini in Coal City. So the 4A North has 4 really good programs in it. That's what you like to see. And so I think we're going to get 2 really good quarterfinal games because I think Coal City, I don't know if they can beat Montini, but I think they can hang with them. I expect Morris and Geneseo to be a great game. So a lot of action left here in 4A.
Yeah.
Including Sacred Heart Griffin and Rochester.
Well, I was going to say, we'll scroll down to the bottom real quick. The southern half of the bracket before we move along. You got Cahokia, the 9 seed, taking on the 4 seed Breeze Central. And then you have the 10 seed Sacred Heart Griffin going on the road, not very far, to Rochester, the number 3 seed. So they've played each other twice in the playoffs in the last few years. This is the second meeting. I think we talked about the big one. We talked about the big one that was on a Friday night. So I know we both watched it a few years ago.
Yeah.
When it was the Ken Leonard's last game.
That was his last game, yeah.
Yep. So, should be fun. Those two are always, great. Those two always provide great games. They're 2 great programs. I would probably say that the winner of that game is probably going to be headed to Bloomington Normal. I think they can get the win the next round as well. Yep.
I would say so.
Yep. So, all right. Anything else from 4A, Mitch? Otherwise, we'll move on.
No, I think we've covered it. Let's keep moving down to 3.
All right. Let's get into Class 3A. The big matchup from our area. The game that really stood out, I guess we got a couple teams left in 3A. The game that really grabbed the headlines, though, Monmouth-Roseville, the 5 seed, getting the win 29-28 over the 4 seed Bloomington Central Catholic. What a game in this one. Mitch, I typed up the notes here, but you were watching this or kind of following along with the whole game a little closer than I was. I caught the end, and it was amazing on the radio. Shout out to Sean Temple and WMOI. Great coverage there, but tell us kind of what you saw as this game played out.
You just saw a Monmouth-Roseville team that came to fight. Hand up. We all picked Bloomington Central Catholic to win this game just because of the talent that they have across the board. But that's why you play the game, because this was a group that was determined. Again, didn't do anything special, played their game, and that's how you win ball games like this. So tied at 8 after the first. The Titans had converted a 4th and goal from the 1 that gave them a 14-8 lead later on. Teams kind of traded punches in the second quarter. We talked about this on the Instant Reacts with Coach Adolphson that Bloomington Central Catholic had converted a 4th and 27 on a deep pass. And they ended up scoring off of that. But
I think we had somebody share a photo with us on Instagram, because Jeremy Adolphson was describing it, where it was like 4 of his defenders all jumping up, and the Bloomington Central
I'm pretty sure Shim has a video of that. It might have been him.
Okay. Yeah, I saw a still image though.
I definitely saw a video of it.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Jeremy described it like you can't believe what just happened. Like,
right.
So anyway,
the quarterback kind of scrambled around and just heaved one, and it was just one of those things that, you know, we've all seen Hail Marys that you're like, how in God's name did he catch that? It was one of those. And got down to the one, and then they scored. But Monmouth Roseville did take the lead back with under a minute left, so they led 22-15. They ended up getting a huge stop before halftime, so it was really a big second quarter there. Again, if you haven't seen any of this or want to rewatch it, go to Shim's account if it's, you know, unlocked, and watch the videos from it. Titans would add to their lead. They went up 29-15.
Real quick, did you catch Jeremy Adolphson in the Shim video at halftime?
Yeah.
It is he told us like he left the field gassed. Like he was out of breath because he was so fired up. And the video that Shim got is amazing. He's walking the sideline with the Titans, and Coach Adolphson is fired up after that stop at the end of the half because he knew they were going to get the ball back to start the second half with that lead. So you take it from there, Mitch.
Yeah, so they had built up their lead even more, 29-15, but then you kind of saw that athleticism and that college talent starting to peek through for the Saints. You know, Poe and Cone, impressive runs. It got to 29-18, but the extra point was missed. Onside kick failed, and the Titans were able to hold on to that lead going to the air. So maybe he had one trick up their sleeve, and they pulled it out at the right exact time to get that first down and to seal this win. So unbelievable game. Fantastic playoff atmosphere. You know, Nick Houston, great game, 121 yards, 2 touchdowns, 19 tackles in this one, 4 tackles for loss. You know, Landon Montroy and Elijah Knoll had terrific days on the ground. So just a great game. A fantastic game plan for Monmouth Roseville. They knew what they were up against, went out, executed, and now they're moving on to the quarterfinals.
Yep. So there we go. There's the bracket here. We'll talk more, you know, about the other. I guess I mentioned we had 2 teams. Yeah, we have another team here down the way. Richmond Burton now will take on Monmouth Roseville. On the opposite side of this northern bracket, you have Byron and IC Catholic. We'll talk about that one in a minute. But the next team up for Monmouth Roseville, they will go on the road to Richmond Burton, the number 1 seed on that north side of the 3A bracket at Saturday at 2 p.m. So Richmond Burton, the Rockets, 11-0, having a fantastic season out of the Kishwaukee River Conference. Mike Knoll in his 8th season there, 34th playoff appearance, 18th consecutive appearance. They lost in the second round of the playoffs last year. They won state championships in 92 and again in 2019. They have not missed the playoffs in Coach Knoll's coaching tenure here. So very impressive resume that he's building. They have 5 wins this season over playoff teams. They have a win 49-0 over North Boone in round 1. In round 2, 57-7 over Aurora Central Catholic. So I will say they're the number 1 seed and they've earned it. They have not really been tested with, you know, overall really strong competition in the first 2 games. They haven't really been challenged yet.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't mean to take that away from what they've done because they are a really good team. I watched part of that game against North Boone. They can play. There's no doubt about it. But yes, their path to the quarterfinals has been pretty easy. So they don't do a whole lot special. They ran for 8 touchdowns in the round 2. That's what they do. Hunter Carley is their big back. He's got 30 rushing touchdowns on the year. So if you find number 6 on the field, chances are he might have the ball. Multiple 200 plus, 300 plus, 5 TD games this year. He had 3 touchdowns in that round 2 win over Aurora Central Catholic. Riley Shea is the fullback. He had nearly 100 yards and 2 touchdowns in that round 2 win as well. It was something like they had 6 different guys who had a rushing touchdown in that game. So they like to run. You know, Mike Knoll is a pretty pretty good head coach. I mean, he's the 7th winningest head coach in IHSA history. He was a legend even before he took this job. He surpassed 300 wins this season. Well, 300 career wins this season. 300 in 1 year would be a record. The defense is really good. They've allowed 1 score or less in 6 of their last 8 games. You mentioned the finals here in the playoffs. It's combined 106-7. So it's a good group. There's no doubt they're a good group. Bloomington Central Catholic was a good group too. So I was just came away from Monmouth Roseville's game super impressed that they're a team that is built to compete with teams like this. And I truthfully think they can do it again. I really do believe that Monmouth Roseville has the size, has the discipline, and can execute their game plan that will allow them to score, and they'll play well enough defensively that they can slow down this rushing attack from the Rockets.
Yeah. I mean, I do think it's interesting, and I think it's worth noting that, this Richmond Burton team, obviously, like you said, really great football team, but they've won 2 games going away. Fine. However you got it, you win it that way. But I think that Monmouth Roseville comes in having to fight, and I think that makes a difference, right? I think their mindset is a little different. I don't know what it'll mean on the field, but I think that it is a little bit of a difference going into this. And I think Monmouth Roseville is playing with all kinds of confidence right now. I think that, they're playing with confidence through the roof, and for good reason, for the, football they've been putting on, the product they've been putting on the field. I think that this Richmond Burton team is a team, the style they play, it fits what Monmouth Roseville, it matches them in a lot of ways. It mirrors them in a lot of ways. So can you beat somebody who does what you do and they do it at a really high level, So I think that's the challenge here, is that they're going to come at you kind of in a similar attack that you like to do to people. Can you stop it? So I think they've answered the call. They've beat some really good teams. Bloomington Central Catholic last week being maybe the best one so far. So yeah, curious to see kind of how this one plays out, but I think it's a great challenge. I think it's a great opportunity for Monmouth Roseville. They've made the quarterfinals before. They have not made it beyond this round. So it would be, for this Monmouth Roseville program, it would be historic. So what they're doing. So, all right, Mitch, do we move down the bracket here and talk Byron?
Yeah, let's do it.
So Byron gets the win 38-12 over Dupec. That's the 2-seed Byron Tigers over the 10-seed in Dupec. Caden Considine opens the game with a 25-yard pick six on Dupec's first possession. He also had 175 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. One of those touchdowns we saw and shared on X. Just every week, he does something on the football field that just makes me stop and just wow. He's just an impressive player. That combination of size and speed, it's fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a great highlight on that. I think breaks 4 tackles and just nails the last guy at the goal line. So I think I said on the instant reacts, he just looks like a guy who has the confidence that he's going to run you over.
Yeah.
Like he just plays that way. He missed a lot of last season, so it's good to have him back this year playing at full strength. And for this Byron group that really is trying to get back to the state championship, certainly they have those expectations every year. But now it seems like they're at full strength. Defense played great. They shut down all of Dupec's weapons. They're terrific weapons in Dermot Dolan and Lucas Rossau. So built a 24-0 lead, and it was really just over from that. So also interesting to note, I read in Jay Taft's article that Andrew Talbert's been playing, or at least he did play with a dislocated thumb on his non-throwing hand. So he still practiced all week, still played, had a rushing touchdown, but just found that interesting for him. And this sets up a huge game in 3A quarterfinals.
Yep. So there it is. It's the game. We pulled up the bracket here. It's the game. Thank you. The bracket's courtesy of NUIC football. Kyle does a great job of getting these updated every week. Looks great. So we love showing them off. So thank you to Kyle for that. But you look at this 3A bracket, and Mitch, this is the game. This is the game we talked about before the season started. Byron, IC Catholic. IC Catholic comes in at the 11 seed. but I think make no mistake about it, they're one of the, if not the favorite in this bracket, along with Byron, I would say, and maybe Richmond Burton. But I think the IC Catholic has grabbed the headlines. That's a team that everybody's looked for all year long. And here we go, Byron and IC Catholic. This is a heavyweight fight, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, it really is. When you look in the last 8 years, I think it is, Byron's got, what was it, 2 titles and a couple of runner-ups. IC has 4 titles in that same span. So these are 2 very, 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 very good programs. It's going to be an absolute battle. It seems like every time they do play, it is that way. I don't expect this to be any different. So, the scene there at Byron is going to be huge. I think there's always seems to be some revenge on the minds of Byron to get past this IC Catholic team, and they meet once again in the quarterfinals. So, IC's got college talent everywhere, like they always do. I saw they had kids visiting Iowa, the day after they beat Bishop Mac there in the second round. Got, sophomores that play, but yeah, it's just going to be a talent. There's going to be talent all over this field. Cannot wait to watch this one on Saturday.
Yeah, so IC Catholic defeated Kankakee Bishop Mac 37-27 last week in the second round. They capitalized on 3 turnovers, and Casey Kirkstead led the IC Catholic rushing attack. He went for 112 yards on 19 carries. You also had Nate Lang, 169 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. So those are some names to watch there. We'll get into some of the names down the way here in a minute. They're 8-3 now this season. They're out of the CCL ESCC Green. The CCL, Mitch, is a loaded conference. No matter what division you fall in, you're going to play a lot of great talent. This IC Catholic team has been tested, no doubt about it. They have a win over Wheaton St. Francis. They only lost to Naz Academy 24-21. They also played St. Rita this year. In the playoffs, they, like I said, beat Bishop Mac. They beat Hope Academy. This is it's a great program, and they challenge themselves every year in this CCL schedule, and most of the time they pass the test.
All 3 of those teams are still in the playoffs.
Jeez, yeah.
All 3 that they lost to. Wheaton just beat the top seed in 5A. Naz is the top seed in 6A.
Yeah.
And then St. Rita, I don't know if they're playing in 8A or where they're at, but they're still in it too.
Yeah. So they beat Wheaton St. Francis, actually. That was one of their wins.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
well,
you're fine.
Still.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, the opponents on their schedule.
Yep.
3 of whom are still
yep.
At least playing. So, but like I mentioned, this is a group that is, you see a lot of guys that are not seniors, including their quarterback, Nate Lang, that you talked about. He's completed 72% of his passes, 19 touchdowns, a little bit of a dual threat, has about 50 yards rushing a game. Senior running back and middle linebacker, Foley Calcagno.
Yeah, it's kind of an all-name team.
Yeah, for sure. 9 touchdowns on the year, team high 10 tackles per game. Kind of that two-way veteran leader. But sophomore receivers in Grant Bowen, 9 receiving touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Will Schmidt, another sophomore, about 57 yards per game. You've got junior wide receiver Quay McKee, 5 touchdowns. Defensively, Tamarion Gardner had 4 sacks. I don't know if that's in the season, or I think he had 3 in the game alone against Bishop Mac. I think he had a fumble recovery for a touchdown too.
These stats would have been at the end of the regular season. So obviously these good numbers have gone up a little bit. Yeah.
Gotcha. I think Gardner had 3 in the game alone against Bishop Mac, and I think it was a 60-yard fumble recovery. So, yep, it's talent all over. Good talent. They faced what could be, I think you mentioned, the state's toughest schedule, one of the state's toughest schedules, but Byron's no slouch either, right? So this will be a fantastic game. It'll be a lot of hard hits in this game. There's going to be a ton of speed. Should be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, that's what I love. That's what I love about this Byron program over the years, is that they've become the program where everybody looks at IC Catholic, Montini, where they're coming into these lower classes and having a lot of success. Byron's the team, man, that steps up and they're ready to answer the call. And if they're not getting the win in these games, they're coming really close. Last year, they came a yard, an inch short on a 2-point conversion play against Montini. The year before, they got the job done against Montini in the postseason. So here we go again. It's another challenge for this group, this Byron group, and they're always ready to make, answer the call. I think it's going to be a great game. The thing I look at in this Knights team is they're multiple and they're willing to pass, they're willing to run, depending on what the defense gives them. So that's a challenge for Byron to be able to handle whatever they bring out there. I think when you have athletes like Considine on both sides of the ball, you saw him do it last week. I think that's where it starts, right? Is that productivity on both sides of the ball. I'm excited because I know that Byron is a program ready to answer the call and ready to be there to make this a game.
Yeah, by my just quick searching, this is a rematch last played in 2022. It was a 3A semifinal that IC Catholic won 35-0 before they defeated Williamsville in the state championship.
Okay. And then was it a year before that where they played, I believe it was either Montini or that Byron got a 2-point conversion to win?
That would have been in 2021. Byron won 15-14 in the semifinal.
Okay.
So they played in semifinals back-to-back years, 2021 and 2022. Okay. I don't believe they've played since then.
Yeah. I'm excited. I don't know. Any thoughts on this one, Mitch? I mean, from what you know about IC Catholic and obviously what we've seen in Byron all year?
I thought they would beat Bishop Mack by a little bit more.
Okay.
Bishop Mack is certainly a very talented group with some very, very good athletes. And, I'm not taking away anything. I'm not a coach. I'm not anything as it relates to strategy on this team.
Hey, you're something, Mitch. You're something.
You sound like my wife. No, I don't think Byron's going to come into this game intimidated. No. I don't think they're going to be scared of IC Catholic, and I don't mean that to discredit IC Catholic. I just mean that there probably are teams that play IC Catholic and want no part of it. Byron's not going to be that whatsoever. So, yeah, the way that they have been playing, the way that they looked against Dupec, I think they are ready for this. At home is a big thing too. Being at Byron should be a great environment there. And like I said, I always feel like there's maybe some revenge factor here that Byron feels with a bad taste in their mouth, having lost that semifinal 35-0 last time they played. So I expect this to be great. I will have my eyes on this for sure. And looking at the bracket now in 3A, the winner of this in the very, very tough 3A North would play, and maybe we mentioned this already, would play the winner of Richmond Burton and Monmouth Roseville.
That's what I was just going to say. Let's get a
Byron Monmouth Roseville semifinal. Are you kidding me?
Yes. The all view from the West semifinal in Class 3A.
And that would give us some job security as a 3A team in the championships too. We'd be there.
That would be
late Friday afternoon covering 3A for. We didn't really cover the 3A game last year, so it'd be great to have one team there this year.
Yes, that would be incredible. So let's. I'll just say it. Let's go Titans. Let's go Tigers. Let's get to the semifinals. That job security. We want to be following one of those teams in Normal, in Bloomington, or at Illinois State on that Saturday.
The sun will be down though. God, that'll be cold.
Here we go.
I'll deal with it, but it'll be cold.
Layer up. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. Worst case scenario, Mitch. Now we're gonna have extra. We're gonna have extra manpower from View from the West. This year's coverage. Yeah. So you can probably go hide in the press box with Kyle.
Oh yeah, he'll definitely be hiding out for sure.
He owns it.
In his own little suite that he got last year.
He owns up to it and just says, "That's what I'm gonna do." So Yeah,
Well, we'll talk about state at the end of this episode because I was talking to Cal today about that, so I think we can let the listeners know and on some cool stuff that we're going to plan on doing.
All right, absolutely. Well, hey, let's take a quick break here, and then we'll jump into 2A, 1A, and 8-man, and maybe we'll talk a little state championships down the way. So hang tight. We'll be right back.
This is Dan Pearson of Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Our FCA team of staff, board, and volunteers is pleased to support View from the West with Greg and Mitch. Our Northwest Illinois FCA team is 3 teams in 1, serving coaches and athletes in the Three Rivers, Northern Illinois, and Greater Peoria areas, all with schools covered by View from the West. For more information, email me at danpearson@fca.org. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
Hey there, local high school football fans. This is Sean Considine, a Byron Tiger and Iowa Hawkeye alumni, and now an LPL financial advisor. I'm passionate about high school football because it's the purest form of the game where communities come together. You can find me in my Byron office until I run off to football practice. I'm happy to talk about football or the markets. I'll leave that up to you. I want to wish everyone across Illinois a safe, successful, and memorable high school football season.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.
Hey, this is Brett Bielma, the head coach of the Fighting Illini from Prophetstown, Illinois. You're listening to the View from the West podcast.
This episode of View from the West podcast is brought to you by Simulation Sports. In addition to golf simulators and batting cages, Simulation Sports provides golf club repair, custom fittings for driver shafts, and even private lessons for golf, baseball, and softball. Whether you're looking for a fun group activity or want to fine-tune your skills and equipment, Simulation Sports has something for everyone. Visit their facility at 400 South Main Street in Monmouth, Illinois, or go to thesimulationsports.com to start playing today.
At Modern Woodmen of America, service is about more than our members. It's about our community, too. We share values that include personal financial security and helping friends and neighbors in need. We're your partner helping you protect your future, and together we're making an impact here in our local communities. I'm Nate Neighbor. Find me on the Modern Woodmen of America website.
Get to know your local Modern Woodmen representative to plan for your financial future and learn about valuable member benefits. Modern Woodmen of America. Touching lives, securing futures. Securities offered through MWA Financial Services, Inc., a wholly owned subsidiary of Modern Woodmen of America.
The View from the West Player of the Week is brought to you by Breedlove Sporting Goods, Western Illinois' premier sporting goods store for uniforms, apparel, equipment, awards, and online team stores. They offer name brands such as Adidas, Under Armour, and Nike, and are extremely responsive with any inquiries. With a primary focus on the western side of the state of Illinois, Breedlove Sporting Goods is the fastest way to outfit your team. You can check them out on Facebook or at breedlovesports.com. Welcome back to View from the West podcast. Mitch, let's get into Class 2A. We'll pull up the bracket. We'll talk about what we saw in the second round and what we have ahead in the state quarterfinals. Here we go. Here's a look at that 2A bracket. Start up top, and the number 1 seed, Rock Ridge, goes down at the hands of the number 9 seed, Tri-Valley. I was following along with this one on the radio, courtesy of WRMJ and Ty Taylor, of course, and just a heartbreaking way to go down. Rock Ridge really struggled to get things going in the way that we know that they can than what we've seen all year long. They have a field goal opportunity that falls short, and then on the ensuing possession, it was a 75-plus yard touchdown.
I think it was 78, yeah.
78-yard touchdown pass, and it was, a long run, associated with that pass, but either way, just a punch in the gut for Rock Ridge, for that community that had a lot of high hopes this year. There was a lot of talk about how good this team was, and they were a great team. Unfortunately, it falls short in the round 2.
Oh, and talking to some of our Rock Ridge friends, they said it. Tri-Valley really came out and played well. That it's a good group. It sounds like their secondary is pretty stellar. And like you said, just would not allow this Rock Ridge team to get into the rhythm that they typically have experienced all season. But yeah, look, a well-deserved number 1 seed in 2A, conference champs on their side of the track, a fantastic group, fun to cover, great athletes. But this is a program that is going to come back stronger than ever. And not one that we expected. But Tri-Valley played well, and credit to them, and they move on.
Yep. So Tri-Valley will be taking on the 5 seed in Wilmington. So that's that Wilmington squad is a challenge for anyone. I think Tri-Valley caught our attention this week, but that Wilmington team looks really good right now.
Yeah, I something in my Facebook algorithm has brought me to Wilmington highlights all the time. And either, something's listening to me at all times, which is disheartening, but also it's brought me to watching Wilmington highlights, and they just look like a well-oiled machine that cannot be stopped.
Yeah.
So, we know that about Wilmington. It's kind of the reason why we were hoping they would go to 3A so that we wouldn't see them here in 2A, because I still believe that they are going to make their way to Bloomington. Now, of course, Farmington might have something to say about that if they get through. El Paso Gridley might have something to say about that too. But they're good. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
They're good. If you haven't watched the Wilmington game, maybe try and find the highlights here from the Tri-Valley game, because you'll come away impressed. But yep, again, can't say enough about Rock Ridge. Great season.
Yep, no doubt about it. And just a shout out to that community. I think Mitch, I know you'd agree with me that we get a lot of support from that Rock Ridge community. They've been on board with this podcast for years, and a lot of people out that way have really supported what we do, and they promote what we do to the people in that area, to the people around their community. So I really appreciate that, and appreciate their support and them listening along. And we even made a couple stops in the Reynolds War Room with Bully and Big E, so that was fun. And I think that Sam Graves was joining us usually from the post-game festivities at the Wheatley household. So we just really appreciate the help that we get.
Yeah, the Reynolds War Room excited that John Cena became a Grand Slam champion tonight.
No, they were watching it. They're excited. There you go. Good nugget to drop there, Mitch. Great stuff.
Yep.
All right. Well, you can see it on the bracket here, Mitch. You already referenced it, but you had at the bottom of this north side of the bracket, Farmington, the number 3 seed, gets the win over Aurora Christian, 21-14. This was another great football game. Farmington's been at home 2 weeks in a row, and they get the job done in some pretty tight games. They continue to find ways to win football games. It's a good program there, led by Coach Vallis. Shout out to him. He was on the Instant Reacts podcast, like we mentioned. But Mitch, talk us through this one. This was another game that on my drive back from Macomb, I was able to find the radio broadcast and listen in to a great win for the Farmers.
Coach Vallis had told me that he wasn't allowed to come on the Instant Reacts after his round 1 win. And so after they won this game, I texted him. I said, you need to tell your wife that you're busy at 9:30 because you're coming on. There was no way we weren't going to get him on the show. Look, defending the Farm isn't easy, but it's a tough place for any opponent to come and win. So this is a great game. I watched this one all the way through. But what a fantastic game from Jack Gronwald. I mean, that goes without saying most weeks, but this is his second consecutive game that he goes over 100 yards rushing, 148 yards in this one, 3 touchdowns, including the go-ahead and what would be the game winner. Just a fantastic player. We talk about Farmington having a freshman quarterback in Carson Noy. You got a sophomore running back in Braden Brewer. So having a player of D1 caliber being able to come in, take the snaps, he's going to get the ball. And teams, the past 2 weeks have not been able to stop him doing that. Certainly a credit to the offensive line. Coach Vallis kind of mentioned it, like the play is Jack gets the ball and go block someone, and that's it. and it works. So get the ball in your playmaker's hands and let them do something with it. Worked out in this game. Noah Passmore, 1 week after the game-ending blocked field goal against Eastland Pearl City, comes up with a huge sack. It was on a 4th and 15 on Aurora Christian's fantastic quarterback, Asa Johnson, pretty much sealed the game right there. And the one thing that we talked about with Coach Vallis on Saturday was, really they held Aurora Christian in check, and that's that's a big thing because they go from their round one game against Eastland Pearl City where they're just going to run the ball at you. I mean, they pass. Deegan Hoffmaster can sling the ball a little bit, but two wildly different styles of play between Eastland Pearl City and Aurora Christian, where Aurora Christian's just going to sling it all the time if they can. Held them in check. I mean, they scored twice in under I think it was twice in under a minute or a minute and a half in the first half. And so they knew that defensively in the second half, they wanted to switch it up. They wanted to keep this Eagle offense guessing, giving them multiple looks, and just try and keep them from scoring again. And they did it. It worked. So a couple of defensive names to shout out: Jack Roenwald, Noah Passmore, as mentioned, Thomas Seaborn, Landon Crawford, Garrett Perkins, Caden Bollinger, Trevor Fry, Ethan Martin really stood out on the stat sheet here in this one. So a fantastic win for Farmington. I've been high on the Farmers. I'm going to continue to do that this week too, as they just keep rolling to a second consecutive quarterfinal.
Yep. Great victory for that program to move along. So as we showed in the bracket a minute ago, they will now be going on the road to the number 2 seed El Paso Gridley. So El Paso Gridley gets the convincing win, 31-0 over Newman. So EPG remains unbeaten as they advance to the 2A quarterfinals. EPG scored 21 points in 6 minutes of the third quarter to pull away in this one. They forced 5 Newman turnovers. 2 of those were goal line stands. So, 5 Newman turnovers. That's a great El Paso Gridley defense there really leading the way.
Yeah. Looks like sloppy conditions there on Saturday night. This was the late game on Saturday. So yeah, you just saw Newman not be able to get into rhythm. Blackert, and Gottlieb, help me out. Alvarado, sorry.
Yep.
They had decent nights, but Bushman couldn't get the passing game going. So a shout out to El Paso Gridley, like you mentioned. They're undefeated for a reason. It's a good group. Aiden Adams, 113 yards and 3 touchdowns for them on the offensive side of the ball. But this was a good year for Newman. This was really Coach LeMay's first kind of group of seniors to go through it. They lived up to that Newman standard, and I think they've really put Newman in a spot that they can continue to play well for years to come. So tough loss to the season here, not the way you want to finish out the year, but a great season for Newman. But it's El Paso Gridley and Farmington here in the quarterfinal.
Yeah, so that 2A quarterfinal, the 3 seed Farmington on the road at the 2 seed El Paso Gridley, Saturday, 5 p.m. As Coach Vallis referenced in the Instant Reacts podcast, these two programs are familiar with each other. In the 2A first round in 2021, it was Farmington getting the win 42-6. They met again in round 1 in 2022, and it was Farmington again with the win 40-30. So in this one, I'm seeing El Paso Gridley favored by 6. I don't know, where'd you see that? Is that a Kyle Kampmeyer special?
That's Kyle Kampmeyer special. Yeah, I asked him just because I was really started when I was asking about the 1A games, which we'll get into in a minute. But then I said, hey, what's the proverbial, or not proverbial, but what's the projected line here? And he said it was EPG by 6. He had that both by the Massey and whatever other one he uses.
Okay.
So.
And what say you on that, Mitch? Because No.
Yeah.
There you go.
Look, this El Paso Gridley team is good. I have no issue about that. They've held opponents to 6 points or less 7 times this year. I think the strategy is going to come down to the weather. I think, Farmington didn't throw a lot against Aurora Christian. If it's favorable, do they open it up with Noy a little bit? Get Jack Roenwald on the outside? Or if it's not, can El Paso Gridley's defense do something that Aurora Christian really couldn't and stop more of a rushing attack? On the outside or on the other side, EPG can sling it too with Owen Adams at quarterback, but they didn't need to against Newman. And again, the conditions there weren't great either. So can Farmington's defense again be pretty hard to pass on, as Aurora Christian found out? Or, can is Aiden Adams. Yeah, Aiden Adams, is he going to have another big game? So this should be a game between two teams that play very similarly, two outstanding defenses. And you know, for a chance to get to a second consecutive semifinal for Farmington, I think means a lot to that program, and to get back there and have another shot. This one would potentially be against Wilmington. So yeah, they're playing for a lot. I like this. I like the way this Farmington group is playing, though.
Yeah. I think what's really interesting, and we referenced it a little bit on the React show on Friday night, is that this Farmington squad has taken on a Eastland Pearl City team that was going to be run first, really physical football, and they adapted to that and they got the job done. I think you saw an Aurora Christian team that historically, and this year is no exception, they're going to spread you out a little bit more. They're really going to use their athleticism to kind of beat you, you know, and they attacked, or that this Farmington team was able to attack that and really get the win that way. And now I think this El Paso Gridley team, wouldn't you say, Mitch, kind of comes in somewhere in the middle? That they do a little bit of both of what Farmington's seen so far?
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah. And so I think Farmington's been well tested to go into this game. Now, I'm not saying that leads to a victory, but I'm saying that it gives them maybe one slight, maybe one small advantage here. And then the key is they got to answer the call against this specific team now. And like you said, they're an interesting team because I think they go pretty fast. They're pretty up tempo. They keep things moving down the field. So can this Farmington defense continue to get the job done and continue to get stops when they need to? And man, just seeing Jack Gronwald on the field, when I look around at a big matchup like this, I want to know who's the best player on the field. I think you got to go with the Farmers having Jack Gronwald as the best player on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. And I looked this up too. I hope I'm right about this. I'm not. Well, we'll just say I am. I think the last time the team scored an offensive touchdown against Farmington in the second half of a game was way back in week 7.
Okay.
Aurora Christian didn't. EPC score was on defense.
Yep.
It was a fumble recovery.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they had some shutouts thrown in there before that. So, yeah, this defense knows how to make adjustments. We saw that against Aurora Christian. They were losing, and that staff there knew what to do right away. So I have full faith in this Farmington defensive unit that they can be prepared for El Paso Gridley, for everything that they've got coming towards them on Saturday, and be in a good position to win.
Yeah, that reminded me of, we heard Coach Vallis talk about his defensive coordinator and the efforts that he led in that win over Aurora Christian. Really interesting stuff there about the plays and the formations he was calling on the defensive side of the ball to keep Aurora Christian guessing. So I think that's something really interesting to see what they could dial up this week against this El Paso Gridley team for sure.
Yep, absolutely.
So, Mitch, we did have a commenter on YouTube mention that maybe we did not understand the strength of the Heart of Illinois Conference. And maybe he was right.
Sure.
Maybe they had it correct. I mean, they did get 2 big wins in Tri-Valley and El Paso Gridley. I'll say they got our teams from the Three Rivers Athletic Conference. But I think maybe that's more of a credit to these 2 teams individually more than maybe the conference as a whole. I mean, I think when you're looking, I don't know. I'll get your thoughts on it too. But I think overall, I think it's a testament to those 2 programs. I don't know that it's a testament to the Heart of Illinois overall.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. Just El Paso Gridley has wins in week 3 and week 4 against Deer Creek, Mackinac, and GCMS.
Yep.
Great. 1A teams, right?
Yep.
And I'm not taking that away. I'm not taking that away because those are good schools, historically great programs. I'm just pointing it out that they were 1A and they lost to 2 of our area teams.
Yep.
The Downs Tri-Valley win in week 5, fantastic win. Close win, 24-21, fantastic. And that really started a stretch of games where they didn't maybe play the best opponents. Tremont 2-7, Eureka 3-6, Clinton 0-9. Shelbyville was this playoff team at 5-4. And then they get a CPL team in round 1. And then, a great win against Newman. Not taking away against the team at Newman, but if we're just talking about their conference schedule.
Yeah, I mean,
again, I don't mean to take it away because these are playoff teams, but they're also 1A playoff teams.
Yeah. Well, and you look at, I was high on Tuscola, and they got beat in the first round. And if you're looking at Hayworth got beat by Stockton in Class 1A. Now, a lot of teams are going to get beat by Stockton, but I'm just pointing that one out. In the first round, you had Newman getting the win over Ridgeview Lexington, another team from the heart of Illinois. So I think, yes, there are some good teams in this conference, like there are a lot of conferences. I don't know that I completely missed the strength of the heart of Illinois. I think maybe I didn't give enough credit to Tri-Valley and El Paso Gridley. I'll say that.
I mean, okay, take Newman, right? They beat Ridgeview Lexington, destroyed them.
Yeah.
And Ridgeview Lexington's now they didn't play El Paso Gridley, but just hard Central Illinois team. So no, I don't know. I think you're right that I think the top 2 teams are really good. I just don't think the quality is there. I don't think it's the same quality that the track has been. Certainly when you throw in the cross game with Monmouth Roseville, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Look, they can prove us wrong again. I said it on the Insta-Rex. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. I got no.
So there you go. We appreciate.
I'll absolutely be wrong again.
We appreciate. We love all our listeners. Whether this commenter was from Tri-Valley or El Paso Gridley, thanks for listening. We appreciate it, and we'll see. They got tests this week, so we'll see if they can get the job done. So just as a quick reminder, Farmington at El Paso Gridley, Saturday, 5 p.m. Should be a good one this time of year when you get to the quarterfinals. These teams know each other pretty well because they've played each other in the postseason, so here we go again. So, all right, let's get into Class 1A, the game actually we just referenced a minute ago. You have the top seed Stockton getting the win 26-3 over Hayworth, who is the number 9 seed. We talked a lot about maybe a slow start for Stockton in this one on the Instant Reacts podcast, but maybe that's a little misleading. Credit to Hayworth. They had a game plan. They executed it pretty well for the first quarter and into that, second quarter.
Yeah, so Hayworth led 3-0 at the end of the first quarter. And I said that exact thing, that in back-to-back weeks, they've had a kind of a slow start, but you go to the first round where they played Galena, and that's a good defense in Galena. That was a hard-hitting NUIC playoff game. But in this one, a little bit different because Hayworth really held the ball. Stockton only ran 2 offensive snaps in the quarter.
Yeah.
And they only had 2 possessions at all in the first half. So yet they still led at halftime. Stockton did. They did score in that second quarter. So it was 8-3 or 6-3. And then Stockton's Carter Blair returned to the second half kickoff back for a touchdown, and they opened up a 14-3 lead, and it was over from there. So usual suspects for Stockton: Carter Blair, Jack Mensendike, Mark Detweiler led that push that brings the Blackhawks back to the quarterfinals. And the Blackhawk defense too, even despite Hayworth controlling the clock a little bit, they did hold their top back to 51 yards. So there's no doubt that the Stockton defense is playing well, only allowed 3 points in their first 2 games. I'm not as learning that nugget about kind of Hayworth controlling the clock. Concerns about Stockton's offense kind of go away a little bit. I would like to see it get back into rhythm here in the quarterfinal. And we'll talk about Dwight in a minute, but it is a game I expect Stockton to win. And what I mean in getting their offense back on track is that if they get a rematch with Lena Winslow, they are going to want to have their offense clicking at full power. They got to figure that out and get back on track.
Yep, certainly. All right, so there we go. That sets up the 1A quarterfinal on that upper part of the North bracket. You have the 12 seed Dwight going on the road to the number 1 seed Stockton Saturday, 6 p.m. So you get the evening kick there in Stockton.
Yeah. So, what a scene.
Yeah, it is beautiful. So
I'd rather have it during the day.
I would agree with that. But yeah.
Maybe Stockton will wear their blackout uniforms.
Ooh.
You never know.
Oh, there you go. Hashtag Uniview.
We haven't talked about that, and I really don't want to because I don't want to be disrespectful. But
Oh,
just stick to the classics, Stockton. That's all. I'm
oh
asking.
man. Okay, interesting take. All right.
I don't like it.
Okay.
I don't like it.
For the record, I'm okay with it because it's still a good looking uniform. It still lays it.
It's a dark colored helmet with a dark jersey.
Yeah.
And I don't.
Okay.
You can't do it.
Okay.
You can't do it.
Mitch has got rules, and we got to follow the rules. So
those rules will be coming out in a couple weeks.
yep,
Don't you worry.
absolutely. Yep. All right. So in round 1, you had Dwight getting the win over Rushville Industry 29-26. You then had them beating Clifton Central 43-14. That was the game that really caught my attention. Was that,
Yeah.
I thought Rushville Industry was a close game, and, Dwight was able to win it, but to win this one so convincingly really caught my attention. So the first meeting all time between these schools, between Dwight and Stockton, this is the second consecutive quarterfinal appearance for Dwight. Last year they were in 2A, so it's the first time in school history that they've made it to 2 consecutive quarterfinals. Looking at that win over Clifton Central, they forced 5 turnovers, scored 3 non-offensive touchdowns. So everything that could go right seemingly went well for Dwight. They're really on a great run here. I'll be honest, kind of an unexpected run in this bracket.
Yeah, they had to score late to beat Rushville Industry, and then I don't know if weather was a factor or if Dwight played really well. Again, I'm not trying to say one or the other, but Clifton Central has had a really good offense all year, and Dwight just completely shut that down. So, but again, their defense played great. They forced 5 turnovers in that game, scored 3 non-offensive touchdowns in that game against Clifton Central. So they played well. So players to watch here: Colin Bashand.
I believe we struggled with that name last year too.
Probably. Aiden Collum, he had 80 yards and a touchdown against Clifton Central. Evan Cox, 138 yards and 2 touchdowns against Clifton Central. So, rushing team, this is a group that I think has gone through 2 rounds of teams or of experts not picking them to win, and they've proven them wrong. So I think this game would be a game that no one sees them winning. And I don't mean to be disrespectful on that. It's just Stockton's the top seed. Stockton's playing really well and they're at home. So if Dwight were to pull off the upset, that would be one that would really shake up the state.
Yeah. So I did read the article, the Friday Night Drive article, talking to their head coach, saying that they're really embracing that underdog role. Now, the coach said that no one picked them to win their last 5 games. They did win all 5. I'm not sure that statement's entirely true.
Look, if someone said that they weren't going to beat Walter Christian or Warrenburg Latham, then I don't know why you're listening to those people. So, no, I don't believe anyone said that.
No, I will say...
Respectfully, I don't think anyone said that.
Yeah, and I will say, though, I appreciate the motivation he's giving his team, because I will say, I didn't expect them to beat Oregon, right? When they got that win in week 9 of the regular season. I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah.
And then, honestly,
I thought Rushville Industry would win.
Yep, so there you go. So I will say he has a point near the end. But the first couple, I'm not sure those ones. But
miss me with that.
I appreciate the motivation that he's providing for his team. So, all right, well, let's talk about the other half of this northern bracket. Lena Winslow gets the win, the number 3 seed, 43-14 over Gibson City Melvin Sibley. Lena Winslow back in the state quarterfinals for the 9th consecutive season. You had Alex Schlichting, 195 yards, Aiden Wild, 140 yards. So no surprise there. That thunder and lightning combination that we've become so accustomed to, they're really firing on all cylinders at the best time of year. The Panther defense also held the Gibson City Melvin Sibley passing attack to just 9 total passing yards. So great effort there from the Panthers all the way around. And Aiden Wild and Alex Schlichting, like we just talked about, they're racking up numbers this season and kind of some all-time marks here.
Yeah, Aiden Wild's up to 25 touchdowns on the season. And he's either 25 or 35, I don't remember, yards away from 3,000 career rushing yards. That's a mark that Schlichting already got to earlier this year. So I've said it before, say it again right now. I don't think there's a team in 1A playing better than Lena Winslow, and I know that is not a stretch. But I think they have figured something out. And maybe it's how to utilize Schlichting and Wild to the best of their abilities and how to mix that together. I just don't see them slowing down. Great win, 9th straight time that they're going to the quarterfinals. They get a very good opponent. They'll have to go on the road to a very good opponent that we'll talk about in just a second. But I don't see. I think, look, I'm going to skip ahead to the end. I think we're going to see Lena Winslow and Stockton in the semifinal. And I think we'll see a completely different game than we saw in week 2.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Well, all right. Before we get ahead of ourselves, Mitch, we got another matchup to talk about here. We don't want to discount anyone from our local area.
Not at all.
Anawan Wethersfield, the 2 seed, gets the win 33-26 over DMAC. I was kind of loosely following this one while I was at Macomb. And man, I saw that at one point, DMAC was up 18-6 midway through the third quarter. And I honestly, you get to that point and you think like, well, that's it. Like that was a good run for Anawan Wethersfield. But, as Lee Corso used to say, not so fast, my friends. Mitch, tell us about the comeback for Anawan Wethersfield.
This is one of my joys of Saturday, because Dan Pearson had texted me asking for an update, and it was 18-6 at the time.
Yeah.
And then I just kept giving him updates, and they were increasingly better and better for Anawan Wethersfield.
Yeah.
And all the way to the final whistle, so that was fun. But yeah, down 18-6, like you mentioned, midway through the third, that kind of started what would be a pretty epic comeback here. 27 second-half points for the Titans, including the go-ahead and what would be the eventual game winner from Devin Orey with 7:37 left to play. Titans defense comes up with a goal line stand at the 2-yard line as time expired, as DMAC tried to tie that game potentially. So a fantastic second half, unbelievable finish to this game. Maddox Heitzler, 167 yards and 3 touchdowns. Devin Horry, 111 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, like you said, it didn't look good, but this Anawan Wethersfield team is built for games like that, and that they figured it out, and here they are heading into the quarterfinals.
Yep. So here it is in the quarterfinals, number 3 seed Lena Winslow at the number 2 seed Anawan Wethersfield, Saturday at 1 p.m. I believe it's Wethersfield Memorial Stadium in Kewanee there. So Beautiful place to watch a Saturday playoff game. Great night. Great to be there anytime. But
is that a tease?
That could be. Yep. I would say that's.
You haven't decided?
I haven't fully committed yet, but that seems like my best. That seems like my most. What am I trying to say? That seems like the most likely option. One, because it's a little closer to it's one of the closer games to the Quad Cities, so that helps me out a little bit. And I have not seen Lena Winslow in person this year, so I'd really like to.
Okay. I would say the only, I guess, one, unless you wanted to go all the way up to Wisconsin for Richmond Burton, would be Byron.
But also,
I understand that Kewanee is much closer.
Yeah, that's also on my. Yeah, I'd say that's 1B. If a 1A and 1B, that's right there. Yeah. So I wouldn't say I've fully committed yet, but leaning Lena Winslow, Anawan Wethersfield. So we mentioned 9.
Or, we'll talk about it in a minute. Millersville Amboy is there on the schedule.
Oh, there you go. That's true. All right.
Got to go to Amboy though.
Is it in Amboy?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, all right. We'll get there in a minute, but 9 straight appearances in the quarterfinals for Lena Winslow, like we mentioned. 10th overall appearance in the quarterfinals for Anawan Wethersfield. Mitch, that's your math there?
That's unofficial.
Okay.
I just went by how many times they've played 12 games. So
okay.
I think that's right.
Okay.
I don't know. I think that's right.
There's places on the IHSA website
I don't trust it. No.
What do you mean?
Well, they wouldn't tell me how many times they've been to the quarterfinals.
Well, you can look through. It's got their school, and then year over year, their results from the playoffs.
That's what I did. I just counted how many times they've played 12 games,
No,
and that'd be the quarterfinal.
You can literally look at a thing that says every playoff game they've played year over year, and it's all stacked on top of each other.
I have never seen that page in my life.
Yeah, I can find it for you. You got to dig around and find it, but yeah.
All right.
All right. Anyway,
I like going the hard way.
all right, yeah. Well done, sir.
Taking the scenic route to these stats.
All right, so it's a rematch of the 2023 1A quarterfinal and the 2019 1A semifinal. Lee Win won both of those in the only 2 times that these 2 teams have matched up. So, Stockton and Lee Win are the favorites here, but we've watched what Anawan Wethersfield does, and they're built, hey, run teams win in November. They're built as a very good, strong running team with a lot of depth and a lot of guys that can run the ball really well.
Gonna be a lot of talent there. A lot of great runners. Between Schlichting and Wild and Horry and Eitzler and Thurston. Right?
Yep.
I am such a fan of what Anawan Wethersfield has done all year. A fantastic win against DMEC, like we just talked about. I just think that Lee Win is playing on a different level than, frankly, right now than Stockton too. I just don't see how they can be slowed down. And Anawan Wethersfield, a team that doesn't present a huge passing threat. Now, Maddox Heisler can sling it. I have no doubt about that. He's done it before. It's just not their bread and butter. And it's hard to beat Lena Winslow at their own game.
Yeah.
It just is. Stockton has done it. CPC did it in the state championship a couple years ago, but it doesn't happen very often. So I hope this to be a fantastic game. It's 2 great programs that we cover. It's what you want to see in a quarterfinal. I think Lee Win is a heavy favorite for a reason. And, with that being said, Anawan Wethersfield might win. So what do I know?
I think the question becomes, and it's the question we have for a lot of teams when they go up against the NUIC in these postseason games, can they match the physicality? I think that's, we've talked about it with multiple playoff teams, is that physicality out of the NUIC is something you really got to figure out. The LLC small side of things, it's not the same as the NUIC. You're not getting the same test. So Anawan Wethersfield has to be ready for that. And I think they've seen it before, right? Not this group in particular. Maybe some kids were there in 2023, but they got to be ready for that. I'm sure the coaching staff is talking them up, talking that into them. So how do they, especially after the first series, right? When they get hit that first time, how do they respond? Can they keep fighting back? But you're right. It's hard to see a team beating Lena Winslow at their own game, and when they're doing it so well this time of year.
Yeah, and if you just look at the 2 opponents for each team, Lee Win played Forreston and GCMS, 2 1A Titans, and Anawan Wethersfield went through a rematch with Stark County and then DMAC. Yep. So I would edge that to Lee Win, and just the way that they're playing. So again, I hope this is a great game. It should be a very, very electric atmosphere because, like you said, it's a great place to watch a game. Saturday at 1 p.m. should be rocking there in Kewanee. But I'll definitely be watching this game for sure. But yeah, what more can I say that wouldn't be disrespectful to anyone in Wethersfield? I apologize about that for the Titans, but I just have I hold Lee Win in such high regard the way they've been playing.
Yep, all good, and it's. I think I'll end by saying, clearly you can kind of tell what we're saying here, but I think that it's a great opportunity for this Anawan Wethersfield squad, right? They come in, fantastic season so far. This is the statement you want to make, right? This is what they've played all year, what they've worked for. This is the opportunity to go up against, one of the best 1A team, 1A programs in the state. So there you go. It's a huge opportunity. So there it is. Stockton and Dwight. You have Anawan Wethersfield and Lena Winslow. On the south side of the bracket, you have the number 1 seed Calhoun. I know Logan's excited about that. He joins Kyle every week to break down the 1A or the small school field on NUIC Football's podcast. Calhoun will take on number 4 seed Casey Westfield. You have Brown County getting the win over Camp Point Central, so they will now play Carrollton, the 11 seed. So, I mean, all of a sudden, I think you're looking at Brown County and Calhoun and Casey Westfield, a toss-up game. I might lean a little bit towards Calhoun. That would be a fun WIVC matchup in Brown County and Calhoun in that semifinal.
Yeah, no doubt. Just going back to that Brown County game, just a terrific game. We talked about Coach Dixon's response and his statement after this game, but really just a fantastic game that was a rematch of the regular season, and Brown County learned from it, and they won 16-8. They capitalized on quite a few turnovers, I think, and just a great win for the Sting squad there as they move on.
Yep. Anything else, Mitch, that stands out to you in this 1A bracket? I think we've kind of discussed all the matchups and what we think here.
I think any way you slice it, the semifinal matchups are going to be really fun.
Yeah.
I think these quarterfinal matchups are great too, but just looking at what we could potentially see, however you slice them, whether it's Stockton and Lee Wynn, whether it's Antelope Weatherfield and Dwight, any of the 4 teams in the South, I think there's really some potential for some explosive semifinal games and a very exciting state championship out of these final 8 teams here.
I mean, when you look at any of the brackets we've covered so far, this 1A North with Stockton, Antelope Weathersfield, and Lena Winslow left, it's our best chance, the most likely one to get to that state title game. So that's where I've been keeping my eye on 1A the whole time, right? Because you knew this was the most likely team we were going to get. It usually is, and it played out again this year.
Yeah. But look, we still got a chance in 2A. We still got a chance in 3A.
Absolutely.
We still got a chance in 4A.
Let's make it happen. I just meant that
the whole day.
Yes, exactly. Mitch wants to be on the sideline the whole time.
Oh my God. Especially in 4A. Jesus.
Yeah.
I'll do it for Geneseo, though. I will do it for Geneseo.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. All right. Well, that wraps up our 11-man talk. Let's get into some 8-man football. We have some
Start buying gloves.
Yeah. We have some.
Get on Amazon the second the show is over.
Yeah. Actually, I did. I panicked for a minute last weekend. I could not find hat and gloves. And then my wife said, "Did you check your coat pockets?"
Listen, I'm wearing my Carhartt overalls. I don't even
care.
care.
Do it.
I'm going to be dressed to the nines.
No, so and you'll be looking good doing it, Mitch. Rocking that Carhartt.
Yeah. Well, I got to learn from our guy Vincent Johnson. He was fully prepared.
That
for that
game.
Any
if you've
taken, he's taking pictures. He's got to use his hands more than I
Yeah,
will.
if I've noticed over the years, still photographers, newspaper photographers, if they're doing it right, they're not messing around. They know exactly what to do. Yeah.
I got not to go off on a side road here, but I got to reach out to him because I've got to buy his book. So if he's going to be there, I want to see if he can hand deliver it.
Oh, that would be amazing. Yeah, that's a great idea.
I want it signed.
Yes,
too.
he did sign my copy, which is really cool.
Okay,
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah. So no, my wife made fun of me because I couldn't find my hat and gloves, and I hadn't gotten my coat out yet. And she said, "Did you leave them in your coat pocket all winter or all summer long?" And sure enough, I did. I found them. So
there we go. And again, not to go off another side road, but let's not have an incident like we did last year with your car.
Don't even say it, Mitch. Don't even say it because I got stuff.
Go get that tuned up.
I know. I already got stuff. It's in the shop. Wouldn't you believe it? It's actually in the shop as we speak.
Excellent.
So,
Excellent.
Yeah. So, all right. Quarterfinal results from 8-man football. Milledgeville gets the win 22-6 over South Beloit. So the number 1 seed Missiles, they grabbed a 14-0 lead at halftime, capitalizing on a pair of South Beloit fumbles. Overall, it's a win for Milledgeville, but not quite the same big-time numbers that we've been seeing out of the Missiles week in and week out.
Yeah, and Coach Rowell credited South Beloit for playing physical, really having that ability to slow down what Milledgeville is trying to do. Now, Milledgeville had 10 penalties in this game, so that doesn't help either. So, yeah, they definitely have to get something cleaned up, but defensively they played great. Spencer Nye had a pair of touchdowns, 1 rush. He had a passing touchdown to Carter Livingood. Evan Schneck had the other one. So that survive and advance, right? So I don't think they played great, and they still won by 2 scores. So Milledgeville moves on.
Yeah. Did you see in the Friday Night Drive article, Cody Cutter, friend of the show, I've known him for a long time. He took a picture of Spencer Nye, and I believe it was in like the Milledgeville like locker room or kind of in a corner.
Yeah.
Did you catch the small detail? There's like a crate or a tub in the background. It looks like it looks like a box of old Milledgeville jerseys. Who I need to.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was pretty excited when I saw that.
We got to get on the horn with Roble on that one.
I need to get my guy Kyle Leach like, hey, could you find a Milledgeville jersey? That would be pretty amazing.
Maybe a helmet or something.
Yeah,
something
no doubt about it. I was very intrigued by what was in the background of that photo, So
yeah.
So all right. So as you can see on the bracket, that's Milledgeville getting the win. They advanced to the semifinal. They will take on the 5 seed, the Amboy Clippers. Amboy gets the convincing win, 64-6 over Pawnee. So Amboy, very familiar with the semifinals. They're back there for the 5th straight season as they look to continue their quest for a state championship three-peat. Mitch, Amboy has become the Lena Winslow of 8-man football.
Yeah, no doubt. That they lost in week 1, which we'll talk about here in just a minute because it was to Milledgeville, but they've played exceptional since then. They've put up 60 in both of their playoff games so far. So, as much as we talk about Lee Wynn playing, better than anyone else in 1A, I think Amboy is kind of that version on 8-man, just the way that they've been playing. So in this one, though, in particular against Pawnee, Jose Lopez, 262 yards and 3 touchdowns. Tanner Welsh was 3 of 7 passing for 67 yards and a touchdown. And Colt McCoy, 78 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground, and a 70-yard punt return. So, yeah, Amboy is hitting their stride. There's no doubt about that. And we get a really, really fun semifinal, which I think we were all expecting. And here we go.
Yep. So that sets up the semifinal. Milledgeville at Amboy, Saturday, 2 p.m. It's a rematch of last year's I8FA state title game. It's a rematch from week 1 of the regular season where Milledgeville got revenge on Amboy after they won their state title last year. So here we go. Week 1 seems like a lifetime ago, but it was a 30-22 victory for Milledgeville. Man, but Amboy is playing great football right now, and you saw what they just did against Pawnee, really making a statement there.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to Milledgeville's defense. They really have to find a way to slow down this Amboy attack like they did back in week 1. Now, that was, 10 weeks ago? So a lot has changed. Amboy has been playing some really good football. Milledgeville has too. You don't want to take too much from their performance there this past weekend, and you would rather have them make those mistakes or not play as well in that type of game. Instead of doing it against Amboy. So I expect them to have that all cleaned up and be back playing well. But this game, the way Amboy's offense has been clicking all season, it's going to come down to the Missiles defense and if they can slow it down.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure I haven't made any friends in Amboy. Last year, they made sure to remind me who I picked in the state title game last year after Amboy, after they won the state championship. Well, if you watched the playoff preview show with NUIC football, I put on the Milledgeville cap, and I said that Milledgeville was going to make it to the state championship and win that state title game. So I got to stick with it. It's already out there. I've already, stuck my flag in the ground.
Yeah, I said it was going to be Milledgeville and Polo, so I'm still sticking to mine too.
Okay. Yep. So there we go. Good luck to both squads. I love this matchup. I love this rivalry here. And I think it's great that we're getting it again in the state semifinals with so much on the line. That trip to Monmouth on the line here for both teams, really playing, high-end football year over year in 8-man. So you have in the other quarterfinal, you had South Fork getting the 38-14 win over there was the 2-seed South Fork getting the 38-14 win over the 7-seed West Carroll. So we talked about Amboy getting the big win over Pawnee from the South. This one is South Fork coming out of that southern part of the state in 8-man football and really sending a message. The Ponies, definitely either heard our podcast or NUIC football's podcast talking about how good the North is, and they talked about using that as some fuel, using that as some bulletin board material heading into this one, and it paid off. They got the win there.
And they play well. They do what North teams do. They just run the ball and they play aggressive, and they just are a hard hitting team. So we saw some projections, or predictions, I should say, when these brackets came out, that they thought South Fork was going to get all the way to the state championship, maybe even win the state championship. So they are playing well. So congratulations to the Ponies on getting to their first berth in the quarterfinals here.
Yep. So that will set up the other quarterfinal. You saw Polo getting the win, 46-14 over St. Anne. So the Marcos back in the semifinals again, 6th straight appearance after scoring 46 straight points on Saturday. So they were down 14-0. But man,
no, sorry, they were down 6-0 and scored 46 straight.
Oh, okay, there we go.
St. Anne scored the first point and the last.
There we go. Okay, I misunderstood that, but
yeah, that's my bad on the English there.
All good. You typed up a majority of the notes this week, so I'll forgive you. I'll let it slide. So
perfect.
Give us the details. Give us the names from Polo here.
Yeah, well, it's Marcus Mumford, certainly 165 yards and 3 touchdowns. Their quarterback JT Stevenson, 170 yards and 3 touchdowns, 2 rush and 1 pass. So it sounds like the weather limited St. Anne's passing attack. I think their quarterback only had like 100 yards. And the Polo defense held St. Anne to 8 yards rushing. So just a dominant performance by Polo, who's another team that's playing really, really well. I mean, 6 straight appearances here in the semifinals. Just a really, really good program here. And they are seeking their first trip back to the state championship since winning back-to-back titles in 2019. Skip a year for COVID in 2021.
Yep. They were a dominant program there for those 2 years, and they've always been a program that's right in the mix, right? It's Polo, it's Amboy, it's Milledgeville. They're right there, year over year. And here they are again, battling for that trip to Monmouth. So it sets up a semifinal, the 3-seed Polo at the number 2 seed South Fork, Saturday, 4 p.m. This is the first berth in the 8-man semifinals for the Ponies. And, we talked about South Fork getting that kind of signature win over a team from the Northwest Upstate Illini. I think this now is the real challenge, right? I think you got that win. It's a nice win over West Carroll. I think this one, obviously, there's more on the line, more at stake to get to the state championship game in Monmouth. This is the next real test. I did see Kyle Kampmeyer from NUIC football put out some tail of the tape type of thing. And you have South Fork averaging 42.5 points per game. They're allowing 18 compared to Polo averaging 44.4 points per game and giving up right around 15. So those numbers favor Polo just a little bit. But this South Fork team, they're very good this year. 11-0 in the 8-man South Division. Head coach Zach Hanlon has this squad with key wins over St. Anne this year, Pawnee, and now that win over West Carroll. They got some names, but man, one kid in particular is really leading the way for this Pony squad. He's been exciting to watch. He's one of Kyle's all-time favorites, I think.
Yeah, for good reason. I mean, George Bailey, the South Division Player of the Year, senior running back there for the Ponies, 2,000 yards, 2,043 to be exact, 37 touchdowns. Heading into last week.
Yeah.
So I don't have his numbers from West Carroll, but just a phenomenal player in 8-man. And yeah, like I said, Kyle has very good reason to believe that he's a very good, what am I trying to say? He's right that George Bailey is one of the most exciting players to follow.
Yep. He's got a couple guys around him. Brody Van Hooser, a senior quarterback. You also have Brady Lush, a senior wide receiver. So, these guys can get the job done. They continue to execute. And I think, it all comes down to now's the chance for this South Fork team to really make a statement in 8-man football, right? Can a team from the South break through and get to Monmouth? I think this is, the NUIC is always the roadblock. It's a huge opportunity here for them. So I'm really intrigued to watch this game.
Yeah, I think if they really want to make a statement, defeating a team like Polo in their 6th straight semifinal and 2-time state champion, this would do it. So yeah, this should be a great game on Saturday.
Yep, for sure. No doubt about it. So, all right, Mitch, that wraps us up. Well, man, next week we'll be talking about a state championship matchup in 8-man football.
Yeah.
I can't believe we're here. I can't believe we're going to be there soon.
Yep. So be exciting talking about 8-man state championship, previewing that, talking about semifinals. And then, boy, we are very close to being in Bloomington on a couple Fridays. I guess it'd be what, 2 Fridays from now.
Yeah.
At the state championship. So yeah, we're right there. We're at the finish line.
Yeah. So you teased a little bit about our state championship coverage this year. We're, like kind of the theme of the podcast this year, we're ramping it up, getting bigger and better. And I'm excited for that.
Yeah. Planning is still fluid.
Yep.
If you watched last year, we went on Facebook Live with Kyle on his page prior to the 1A state championship game between Lena Winslow and Althoff. I believe the plan is to do that, but through our Riverside software this year. So we'll do something pregame. We can get into the press box. Is it an hour and a half or 2 hours ahead of time or something? Normally we go down on the sideline and get some footage quick. But so there's plans for a pregame show. Certainly we'll be either on the sideline or up in the booth, live tweeting the whole thing. I believe what the plan will be is they do the all-state teams in between the state championship games. And so we'll split up a little bit. I think I'll probably stay back and cover that because I imagine we'll have a handful of 1A all-state players that are not playing in the state championship game. While you and Casey and Shim and Kyle, whoever, Logan, whoever, will either be covering the post-game press conferences and interviews while that's kind of going on, while I'm looking at the all-state teams. The guys who are left in the booth are going to be prepping for a live sort of an instant reacts. I don't think it'll be a branded instant reacts because we'll kind of be combining this together with his show, but a live show after the 1A state championship game. So yeah, we're definitely upping it this year. We're definitely going to be continuing to try and provide more coverage of this. If we talk a big game about being, 2 of the biggest shows that cover small school football, we're going to live up to that hype. So we got to keep continuing to step up our game and covering these great teams. And I think the early stages of planning look like it's going to be a really fun morning.
Yep, absolutely. It's such a great day. And, I'm excited to get down there again and be a part of it kind of in this new, iteration of I've gone to it over the years for this show and for, previous jobs, but for our newest iteration of you and I going and being there with Kyle and kind of joining forces on that day, I'm excited. It's a ton of fun. And like you mentioned, we'll have a few other helping hands there, and that adds excitement and it adds availability to cover more and to see more and to hear more as we're there. So really excited to be there and to bring it to the people. It's a great day.
Yeah, it really will. Regardless of who's there, even if I think it's unlikely that we don't have a team there, but even if we don't, we're going to cover it. It's not going to change anything that we do from a coverage perspective. But yeah, looking forward to it. We got 2.5 weeks to kind of finalize what we're going to do. But it's looking like it's going to be a great day.
Yeah. Well, before we get to the turf at Illinois State, we'll obviously have our semifinal previews next week and the state championship game previews. We'll then have a 11-man state championship preview episode, as always, weekly. We'll have the instant reacts tossed in there along the way. But Mitch, when we get to that week before the state championship games, we got the special UniView, edition of the show where we break down every matchup 1A through 8A state championship games, and we pick winners solely based on aesthetics, solely based on the helmet, the jersey, the pants, the look, the full uniform. It's a great episode. I think it's going to look even better this year on Riverside. I'm excited for that.
I got to start getting my my permission messages out to try and get some of these get permission to use some photos, because obviously there's photographers out there that take way better pictures than I can pull up on. I don't want to steal anything either. That's first and foremost. I don't want to steal anyone's content. I don't like it when it happens to us. So always want to make sure you get permission, folks. If you're listening and you're in this kind of space, always ask for permission. But yeah, a lot of these teams always have great images of their uniforms, and we'll try and be able to present something that really showcases what they're going to be looking like. And is it always the North team is home, or does that switch?
I think that switches, but we always got to get confused and got to figure it out every year. So
yeah, so we'll make sure that we're as close as possible. Some of these teams have 50 different variations, like East St. Louis, so we don't always know what they're going to wear, but we can get pretty close.
Yep.
And again, it's all in the nature of talking about uniforms, and it's one of our favorite episodes every year.
That's going to be a great episode. There'll be a few more surprises along the way. There'll be potentially some bonus episodes squeezed into that week.
Well, we did coaches. Last year.
I'm hoping
we talked,
depending on schedules, that week before. I'm hoping to have that happen again. So, Mitch, you and I will have to coordinate that and get, figure out who the coaches are and get them, on a call and talk. I love getting those interviews. Last year, talking to CJ Cesario from Chicago Christian, talking to Jostis from from Maroa Forsyth was really great. And then obviously from our local area with you had Lena Winslow.
Aaron.
Yeah, Lena Winslow's Rick Aaron. So we really, I find those fascinating, getting into the playoff run and kind of what they expect in a state title game. So
yeah, I think they're tired of talking about it, but they at least give us the time of day.
Yeah, no doubt. So all right, well, Mitch, the games continue to wind down in numbers, but we continue to ramp up. We pushed over 2 hours again for another episode here. So we got a lot to say. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I appreciate all the listeners getting to this part of the episode, and again for your continued support all year. So hopefully you've enjoyed it, and there's only a couple weeks left, but we've got a lot ramped up and ready to keep going here.
Do you think, Mitch, if we can get those View from the West big hats, that would keep you warm on the sidelines at State?
No, unless it's a giant stocking cap.
Exactly. Well, again,
give me the big oversized hat, but then a bigger oversized stocking cap.
Yes. All right, that sounds
just a big beanie.
Yep. All right, well, that sounds good. Thank you to everyone who listens. Thank you to everyone who subscribes, who follows along. The next time you hear our voice, we'll be talking Instant Reacts podcast on Saturday night. We'll be talking what will be the semifinals in 11-man and some state championship games in 8-man. We'll have it all there for you. The final scores, the stats, the stories, as we like to say. So there we go. Mitch, another episode in the books. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good.
That'll do it for this week's episode of View from the West. Thank you so much for listening. I encourage you to go out to Apple Podcasts or Podbean and subscribe so you can follow along, and downloads will come automatically every week. You can follow along on Twitter at ViewFromWestPod. You can also email me if you're interested in being a sponsor, viewfromwestpod@gmail.com. Thanks so much. We'll see you next week.